Tonight, you do not need to carry the day one moment longer. Whatever still feels unfinished may remain unfinished for now. Whatever still feels tangled may stay untangled until morning. Whatever answer has not come does not need to be forced out of the dark. The hours behind you have already passed through your hands. You have already done the walking, the thinking, the reacting, the enduring, the trying. And now, in this quieter hour, you are allowed to lay all of it down. This is not a night for effort. This is not a night for explaining yourself to your own mind. This is not a night for tightening your thoughts into neat rows and pretending that rest only belongs to those who have earned it. Tonight, rest may belong to you simply because you are tired, simply because you are human, simply because night has come. And night was always meant to be a shelter for the weary. So let the room be gentle around you. Let the ceiling stay high and still above you. Let the blanket rest where it is. Let the pillow receive the weight of your head without judgment. Let the air feel cool or warm, whichever it is, without asking it to become anything else. And while you listen, do not feel that you must follow every word with perfect attention. You may drift, you may listen closely for a while, and then wander. You may lose the thread and find it again somewhere softer. You may sink beneath the sound of my voice and return only when another sentence happens to meet you. That is not failure. That is the beginning of rest, because tonight you are not being asked to stay awake for wisdom. You are being invited to grow drowsy inside peace. In a little while, we will let the body soften. We will let the mind quiet. We will step beneath a calm sky. We will move through old gentle truths. We will follow the tired footsteps of a weary king on a dark road. And then, again and again, we will come back to safety, back to stillness, back to the bed beneath you, back to the simple mercy of being held through the night. So before anything else, hear this clearly. You do not have to make sleep happen. You do not have to chase it. You do not have to deserve it. You do not have to prove that you have finally become calm enough for it. You only have to loosen, a little in the shoulders, a little in the jaw, a little in the heart, a little in the mind that has been watching the door too long. And if even that feels like too much, then do even less. Simply remain here. Simply listen. Simply let the darkness be soft around you. The day is over. This hour is quieter, and rest is already nearer than your thoughts have been willing to believe. Take one slow breath in, not a deep breath that strains the chest, not a breath that tries too hard to fix the way you feel. Just a gentle breath, an unafraid breath, as though the night itself is breathing beside you and teaching your body how to become less guarded. Let that breath go slowly, then another, then one more. And as the breathing settles into an easier rhythm, begin to notice the places where your body is already being supported. The pillow beneath your head, the mattress beneath your back, the blanket over your chest, your stomach, your legs. The simple, steady contact between your body and the place where it has been laid down for the night. You do not need to improve this moment. You do not need to arrange it perfectly. You only need to notice that you are being held up. Now let your forehead smooth. Let the skin there become soft, as though it has finally understood that there is nothing urgent to read, nothing difficult to prepare for, nothing hidden in the dark that requires your alertness. Let the space between your eyebrows relax. Let your eyelids grow a little heavier. Let them rest in their closed darkness. Let your cheeks loosen. Let your mouth soften. Let the tongue release from the roof of your mouth. Let the jaw unclench. If you have been carrying words all day, spoken words, unspoken words, rehearsed words, words you wish you had said differently, words you swallowed and words you repeated too often inside your own mind, let all of that speaking stop now. Let the mouth become quiet. Let the face rest. Let the neck loosen. Let the throat soften. Let the shoulders drop, not only once, but a little more, and then a little more again, until you can almost feel the weight running down through the arms and out through the hands. Let your upper arms grow heavy. Let your elbows rest. Let your forearms grow quiet. Let the palms open without effort. Let the fingers uncurl. If your hands have held too much today, let them be empty now. If your hands have worked, let them rest. If your hands have comforted others, let them be comforted by stillness. If your hands have reached for answers, let them stop reaching. Now bring your attention to the chest. Notice the rise and fall there. No need to deepen it. No need to count it. Just let the breathing move. Let the ribs widen and settle. Let the heart area soften, even if only a little. Sometimes the heart follows the body into peace more easily than the mind does. Sometimes the body must be shown, quietly and repeatedly, that the watch is over for now, that it may unclench, that it may stop bracing, that it may trust the bed enough to become heavy. Let the upper back loosen. Let the lower back be supported. Let the stomach relax. If there is tension there, meet it kindly. Do not force it away. Just let that part of you hear that there is no demand being placed upon it in this hour. It may remain imperfect and still be safe. It may remain tired and still be safe. It may remain tender and still be safe. Now let the hips release into the mattress. Let the thighs become warm and heavy. Let the knees soften. Let the calves loosen. Let the ankles rest. Let the feet, which have carried you through the day, through tasks and errands and waiting and standing and pacing and quiet burdens of every kind, finally become still. And now, from head to toe, notice the difference between holding and resting, between guarding and settling, between effort and surrender. You do not need to throw yourself into surrender all at once. You may enter it gradually, like a boat moving from choppy water into a quiet inlet, like dusk spreading across a field, like warmth entering cold hands. If a thought interrupts you, let it interrupt lightly and pass on. If a memory stirs, let it remain soft at the edges. If a worry steps into the room of the mind, do not sit down with it. Let it remain standing at the threshold until it grows too tired to continue. Nothing needs to be solved in the next few minutes. Nothing needs your brightest thinking. Nothing is improved by your midnight strain. You are here, you are lying down, you are breathing. And peace often enters the soul through ordinary doors, through loosened shoulders, through unclenched hands, through the simple heaviness of legs at rest, through the repeated discovery that the bed is not asking you for anything except your weight. So let your breathing become soft and unhurried. Let the body learn this quiet from the inside. Let it understand, little by little, that tonight it is allowed to sleep. There is a special kind of relief that comes when you realize you do not have to keep yourself together for one more hour. Not because everything is fixed, not because every fear has vanished, not because tomorrow has suddenly become easy, but because you are no longer alone with your tiredness, because something calm and steady has come near enough that your heart no longer needs to sit upright in the dark, listening for danger in every corner. Tonight, imagine a gentle presence near you, not far off, not symbolic only, not vague in the way that comforting ideas can sometimes be vague, but near, a presence that does not crowd the room, a presence that does not press on you, a presence that is not impatient with the pace at which you fall asleep, or the pace at which you heal, or the pace at which your thoughts finally loosen their grip. Just near, steady, faithful, kind. If you have known hard days, let that presence be kind to your hard days. If you have known private griefs, let that presence be kind to your grief. If you have been carrying invisible weight, let that presence know about the weight without demanding a speech from you. You do not need a great performance of peace tonight. You do not need to sound strong. You do not need to feel bright. You do not need to gather perfect belief in both hands and hold it up to be examined. You may simply lie there and be tired in the company of something holy and gentle. And perhaps that is enough, perhaps enough for tonight. Is this that you are seen without being exposed, that you are known without being cornered, that you are held without being trapped, that the quiet around you is not empty, that the darkness is not abandoned ground, that the night itself may become a place where your guarded places slowly begin to unfasten. Many people move through the day as though they must hold the world in place by inward effort. Shoulders lifted, thoughts circling, inner doors half open, ears tuned to what might go wrong next. Even when the body is still, the soul can remain standing. But not every hour is for standing. Some hours are for being carried. Some hours are for letting the inner watchman sleep. Some hours are for allowing yourself to be kept. Tonight can be such an hour. So if there is any part of you that still resists softness, do not shame it. It has probably worked very hard for a very long time. It has probably mistaken vigilance for safety. It has probably learned to stay awake because it was not sure who would keep watch if it did not. Meet that part gently. Tell it the room is quieter now. Tell it the bed is safe enough for resting. Tell it there is a steadiness greater than its own striving. Tell it it does not have to patrol the same sorrow all night long. You are not keeping yourself safe by effort alone. You are being gently kept. And when that truth comes close enough, something inside the body changes. The chest softens. The breathing deepens without force. The jaw lets go a little more. The hands no longer feel the need to close. The eyes, behind their lids, stop scanning. The heart sits down. Imagine that now. Your heart sitting down. Not collapsing. Not giving up. Simply sitting down because the room has finally become kind enough to allow it. You are not abandoned in this hour. You are not lost in it. You are not required to cross the dark by your own small strength. The same kindness that holds the night sky in place can hold a weary human being through the slow descent into sleep. So remain here a little longer. Let the quiet thicken. Let the air feel gentle on your skin. Let the bed beneath you be enough. Let the simple fact of being watched over become more believable than the restless voice that says you must keep proving your strength. You are here. You are known. You are sheltered. And from this sheltered stillness, the world beyond the room begins to widen in a softer way. Imagine the dark beyond your window growing thinner. The night is not gone, not yet, but it is beginning to loosen. Somewhere low in the distance where land meets sky in a line too soft to measure, the faintest silvered ray has begun to gather. It is the hour before color fully arrives, the hour before the birds become certain, the hour before the houses wake and the roads remember footsteps. The world is still mostly quiet, and because it is quiet, every gentle thing becomes easier to notice. A roofline resting under shadow, a tree standing without movement, a narrow path dim with dew, a stone wall carrying the coolness of the night, a field lying still as though it too is listening. Look up. The last stars remain, delicate and patient, not fighting the coming dawn, only shining for as long as their hour allows. A thin moon may still linger, pale as washed bone, suspended over the edge of the waking world. A few long clouds drift almost unnoticed, brushed so lightly across the heavens that they seem more like memory than weather. Then, slowly, color enters, not abruptly, not loudly. A pale rose near the horizon, a little amber under the silver, then a soft widening gold that has not yet become brightness but is already full of promise. The sky does not hurry itself. That is one of its mercies. It does not lunge into the day, it unfolds, and in its unfolding, it teaches the body something that the body often forgets. That change can happen without violence. That beauty can arrive without noise. That light can return without being forced. Stay with the dawn a little longer. Let the first warmth touch the tops of trees. Let the pale colors deepen. Let a single bird call from somewhere unseen, then another. Let the waking world remain distant enough that it does not demand anything from you. You are only watching, only receiving. The sky is saying something, though it has no spoken language. Its silence is not empty. Its stillness is not blank. It carries message without pressure, wonder without strain, majesty without agitation. The heavens do not seem anxious about the day they are entering. The sun rises as though it has risen many times and knows exactly what to do. The clouds drift as though they are not in competition. The light spreads as though abundance were natural. And perhaps this is why the sky has soothed so many tired hearts across so many generations. Because it does not ask for participation. It does not demand brilliance from the weary. It simply remains large enough to make the soul feel less trapped inside itself. Imagine the morning widening now. The sun comes higher. The coolness begins to lift from the stones. A line of laundry stirs in a modest breeze. Somewhere a gate opens, somewhere water is poured from a jar into a cup, somewhere bread is set on a table, somewhere footsteps cross a courtyard in unhurried rhythm. The light moves over rooftops, over fields, over olive leaves, over narrow roads that remember sandals, donkeys, wagons, dust, conversation, prayer, and silence. The sky remains over all of it, vast, patient, unoffended by human restlessness, unchanged in its quiet authority. Then let the day travel onward. The sun reaches higher still. By noon, the light is stronger, cleaner, almost white over the stones and paths. Heat settles into walls. Clay jars sweat coolness in shadow. A cat finds a patch of light and sleeps there, unconcerned. A worker pauses beneath an awning. A child crosses a doorway and disappears into the dim of a house. Somewhere, in a field beyond the town, wind moves gently through grain and leaves a rippling hush behind it. The sky remains wide. The clouds gather and thin, shadows move. The hours pass. And then, as all days do, this day begins to soften again. Afternoon leans toward evening. The edges of things become warmer. Long shadows stretch across the ground. The bright blue above slowly deepens. Clouds return wearing color this time, rose and amber and violet, their undersides brushed with fire, while their upper edges cool toward lavender and gray. Olive trees darken at the trunk, while their leaves still catch light like small pieces of silver glass. Voices grow fewer, birds begin to settle, the world exhales. Evening is a mercy because it lays a softer hand over everything that has been done. It does not erase the work of the day. It gathers it. It quiets it. It draws a veil over it and says, "Enough for now." Then the first star appears, small, clear, undemanding. Then another, then many. A planet glows low in the darkening blue. The moon rises, or perhaps has been waiting all along. Night returns not as an enemy, but as a covering, a garment of deep blue drawn gently over roofs and trees and roads and sleeping hills. And once again the heavens speak without words. Some truths do not rush toward us. They shine patiently above us. They wait for the heart to grow quiet enough to notice them. They remind us that not everything real arrives by argument. Some realities appear by steadiness, by repetition, by beauty that returns again and again with no need to prove itself. Stay beneath that sky now, morning sky, noon sky, evening sky, night sky. Let the full arc of it pass slowly over your imagination. Let its calm move into your breathing. Let its largeness make your inner world feel less crowded. The heavens do not panic. They do not hurry. They do not strive to be seen. and yet they are full of glory, and as the heavens speak without sound. Another voice begins to reach the heart more closely. There are many kinds of words in the world. Some rush past us and leave the mind more crowded than before. Some scratch against the nerves, some demand immediate reaction, some flatter, some accuse, some stir our fears and call it clarity. Some fill the air without feeding the soul. A tired heart can hear such words all day and still lie awake at night, feeling strangely empty. But there are other words, words that do not come to inflame, words that do not sharpen the pulse, words that do not push against the weary mind as though it must wake up and perform one final act of understanding. These are the words that soothe even while they strengthen, the words that steady while they comfort, the words that do not merely pass through the ear, but linger somewhere deeper, in the place where fear and hope wrestle quietly after dark. Imagine entering a small room at the end of a long day. The walls are plain. The floor is worn smooth in places by many footsteps. A lamp burns in the corner with steady light. Beside it is a chair whose cushions remember long evenings of rest, reflection, and prayer. Near that chair is a table, and on that table lies a book often opened, often touched, often returned to, not because it is fashionable, but because it has become a shelter for the inner life. You sit. The room is quiet enough to hear your own breathing. Outside, the world continues with its noise, its commerce, its appetites, its unfinished arguments, its rushing current of opinions and needs. But in this room, there is a different pace. In this room, you are not being asked to keep up. In this room, you may receive. You open the book, not to master it, not to extract a clever idea, not to conquer some difficult question before bed, only to let true words stand beside you, only to let them enter the room of your thoughts and begin, quietly, to rearrange what fear has thrown into disorder. Because words that are living and trustworthy often do their best work without spectacle. They do not always produce instant feeling. They do not always arrive with dramatic force. Sometimes they come like warm bread to tired hands. Sometimes like clear water to a dry mouth. Sometimes like a lamp lit at dusk. Sometimes like oil poured slowly into a brittle place. Sometimes like shade after walking too long in the heat. What is holy does not always make the heart more excited. Often, it makes the heart less afraid, and that can be a deeper mercy. Maybe one sentence meets you, a sentence about steadfast love, a sentence about mercy, a sentence about nearness, a sentence about not being abandoned, a sentence about peace that does not depend on circumstance, a sentence about being known, a sentence about trust. It does not need to be many sentences. The weary soul often needs only a few true things said gently and said again. Love remains, mercy remains, truth remains, goodness remains. The faithful presence remains. The soul need not starve in silence. The mind need not live on noise. Let those truths stay near you. Do not force yourself to feel them brightly. Do not test yourself to see whether your emotions rise quickly enough. Simply let the words remain in the room. Let them be like warm light over wood and fabric. Let them be like a low fire that does not blaze but does not go out. Let them be like a hand resting over your clenched one until, little by little, the fingers loosen. There is a difference between distraction and nourishment. Distraction keeps us busy. Nourishment restores us. Distraction numbs the surface. Nourishment reaches the root. Tonight, let truth nourish you. Let it feed the place in you that has grown thin. Let it calm the part of you that has been listening too long to voices that only take. Let it stand between you and the noise still echoing from the day. Because holy words do not hurry you. They meet you where you are. They do not mock your tiredness. They do not withdraw because your mind wanders. They do not become less true because your feelings are slow. They are patient enough to remain. And because they remain, they begin to change the atmosphere. The breathing slows, the shoulders lower, the mind becomes less desperate, the room feels softer, the night feels less empty, the soul, having been offered something trustworthy, no longer needs to clutch every passing thought. So sit in that lamp-lit room a little longer. Let the pages remain open. Let the words breathe near you. Let them be honey, lamp, bread, shade, water, shelter. Let them be enough for tonight, and once the heart begins to trust, it can dwell slowly on what is good, lovely, and full of peace. There is mercy in giving the mind something gentle to rest upon. Not something empty, not something shallow, but something gentle, because the mind has its own habits of wandering into sharp places. It revisits worries. It rehearses conversations. It reaches toward what might go wrong. It loops through unfinished things and forgotten things and imagined things until even the body, lying still in bed, can feel as though it is walking long roads in the dark. So tonight, do not ask the mind to become blank. Ask it only to turn toward what is kind, toward what is true, toward what is lovely, toward what is lovely, toward what is lovely, toward what is honorable, toward what is peaceful, toward what is worthy of praise. Let those be the stones beneath your feet now. Begin with what is true. What is true in this hour? That the night has come, that the bed beneath you is carrying your weight, that your breathing continues without your management, that you do not need to solve everything before sleep, that tiredness is not failure, that gentleness is not weakness, that your thoughts are not the whole of reality, that the sky is larger than your fear, that mercy has not disappeared just because you are weary, that love does not become false when feeling grows dim. Stay there. Let truth be simple enough to soothe. Not all truth arrives in thunder. Some truth comes as a quiet floor under trembling feet. Now, what is lovely? Loveliness is rarely loud. It does not need to impress. It often comes in small forms that the restless mind overlooks. A lamp in a window at dusk, a folded blanket at the edge of a bed, steam rising from a cup, olive leaves turning silver in the breeze, a bowl of figs on a wooden table, a path washed with moonlight, the scent of water, clean linen, the hush of a room after a child has fallen asleep, a hand resting over another hand, the soft curve of a clay jar, a candle burning low, the first star above a roofline, a garden wall still warm from the sun. Picture one of these, then another, then remain with only one. Do not hurry to collect too many lovely things. A tired mind does not need abundance. A tired mind does not need abundance. It needs softness. Now, what is pure? Purity here is not severity. It is clarity, clean water in a stone basin, morning light through a white curtain, the cool scent after rain, a field untouched before the day begins, fresh bread wrapped in linen, a clear spring running over pale rock, the inside of a shell, a washed bowl drying in open air, a prayer with no ornament, only honesty, a heart that wants peace more than performance. Stay with what is clear and clean. Let the muddiness in the mind settle to the bottom. Now, what is honorable? What is honorable is often steady rather than dramatic. The one who keeps watch without boasting, the elder who speaks gently, the friend who shows up quietly, the labor of hands that do simple things faithfully, bread baked again, water carried again, a promise kept again, a lamp lit again, a door barred at night so others may sleep in safety, a mother humming over a child, a father closing the gate, a neighbor bringing food to the weary. Ordinary goodness has a kind of dignity that calms the heart. Dwell there. Now, what is peaceful? A still lake at evening, grain bending in a low wind, a sheepfold at night, a boat tied at the shore, the slow crackle of a fire nearly spent, steps fading down a corridor, a distant bell, the sound of your own breathing becoming quieter. The dark blue hush before dawn. The room you are in now. The blanket over you now. The pillow holding you now. Stay with peace. And if you need to, repeat it. Peaceful, peaceful, peaceful. Again, peaceful, peaceful. Not because repetition is a trick, but because the tired heart often learns by return. Now what is worthy of praise? Morning light, the faithfulness of old trees. The moon keeping its hour, bread on table, water in a cup, mercy arriving in small forms, kindness that remains kind even after disappointment, truth that continues to stand when fear has talked itself thin, the way a tired body can slowly unclench, the way a human soul can be met by quiet and begin, at last, to rest. Let these things pass before the inward eye slowly. True, lovely, pure, honorable, peaceful, worthy of praise. Again, true, lovely, pure, honorable, peaceful, worthy of praise. Let the repetition continue until it smooths the inner surface. Let each word become like a lantern placed along a dim path. You do not have to walk far tonight, only to the next light, only to the next soft thing, only to the next quiet truth. And if your mind wanders away, do not punish it, bring it back gently, as one might guide a drowsy child back to bed. True, lovely, pure, honorable, peaceful, worthy of praise. Let those words become slower now, more spacious, more like breathing than thinking. And as the mind softens in that gentle rhythm, a quiet hillside begins to rise in the distance of your imagination. The hillside is cool in the mild light of morning. You are seated low on the grass where the slope begins to rise, and the earth beneath you feels firm and kind. Small stones press lightly through the soil. Thin wild herbs grow close to the ground, releasing faint fragrance when the breeze stirs them. Nearby, an olive tree leans with long, patient grace, its narrow leaves whispering against one another whenever the wind passes through. The sky above is pale and open, washed clean by the newness of day. Others have gathered here too, not as a crowd pressing forward, not as a restless assembly straining to be seen, but as weary people who have come to be near gentleness. Some sit alone, some sit in families, some lower their heads, some close their eyes, some look toward the teacher above them with the hopeful tiredness of those who have not been treated gently by the world, and still dare to believe there may be mercy somewhere. The whole hillside feels quiet in a way that does not silence people, but relieves them. Higher up the slope stands a teacher whose voice reaches without forcing itself. He does not speak as though he must conquer the air. He does not stir the crowd into frenzy. He speaks in a way the tired can bear, in a way the sorrowful can receive, in a way that makes blessing sound less like a prize and more like a covering drawn over the bruised places of the heart. And this is one of the great wonders of the morning. That blessing is not first spoken over the loud, the admired, the powerful, the certain, the polished, or the self-satisfied. It is spoken over the needy, over the mourners, over the gentle, over the merciful, over those who hunger for what is right, over those who make peace, over those whose hearts still long for what is clean and undivided. The words move across the hillside like water poured slowly from a jar. They do not splash, they do not startle, they collect in the low places. And perhaps that is why they comfort so deeply, because weary people often feel like low places, like places where the bright and triumphant voices of the world do not linger very long. But this voice lingers. This voice speaks directly into tenderness. Maybe the blessing over those who mourn reaches you most, because grief is often quiet in company and loud in solitude. It follows people into ordinary rooms. It lies down with them. It wakes with them. It can make even beautiful things feel slightly dimmed. And yet here, on this hillside, mourning is not hurried away. It is not treated like a flaw in spiritual strength. It is met with comfort, or perhaps the blessing over the meek reaches you, the gentle ones, those who do not push and grasp and harden themselves to survive every room, those whom the world may overlook because they do not force their way into the center, those whose strength is quieter than ambition. Here, gentleness is not dismissed, it is seen, or perhaps the blessing over the merciful, those who still know how to soften after pain, those who have not let disappointment turn their whole inner life bitter, those who know how to forgive in small daily ways, those who know how to leave a door open for grace. The hillside remains calm. A child leans against a mother's arm. A man lowers his face into his hands, but not in despair this time. More like relief. The breeze moves over the grass. A bird crosses the pale sky and disappears beyond the olive branches. The teacher continues, and every sentence feels less like a command than like a place to rest. Blessing sometimes arrives most deeply where the heart once felt most fragile. Sit there a little longer, feel the cool grass, smell the clean earth, hear the leaves whisper. Let the words pass over you slowly. Do not grasp them hard. Do not turn them into tasks. Let them remain blessing. Let them remain comfort. Let them remain shade. Even your tenderness is not a weakness here. It is a place where comfort can find you. And perhaps this is one of the quietest miracles in all the world. That the places in you you thought made you less fit for peace. Your sorrow, your softness, your hunger, your need may be the very places where blessing comes nearest. The morning remains gentle. The hillside remains wide. The voice continues above you, calm as light. And from that quiet hillside, another older road begins to open in the imagination. A road worn by dust, sorrow, prayer, and the slow endurance of tired feet. The road is long and dusty. Evening has begun to lower itself over the land. And with it comes the tired gold of a day nearly spent. The hills are brown and stony in the fading light. Patches of scrub cling to the slopes. Olive trees stand dark against the sky. The path winds downward, then upward again, crossing ridges and shallow valleys where shadows gather early. The air has cooled, though the earth beneath the sandals still remembers the heat of noon. A small company travels the road. They are not moving quickly. They are moving because there is no choice but to keep moving. Among them walks David, no longer the young shepherd of old stories, no longer the bright figure of early victory, but a king grown older beneath the weight of years, griefs, sins, mercies, songs, and consequences. Time has altered him. Sorrow has altered him. Responsibility has altered him. Yet something within him remains unbroken, a quiet thread of trust not fully extinguished by the dark road under his feet. There are servants with him, friends, soldiers, messengers, men whose sandals are gray with dust, men whose mouths are dry, men who left the city too quickly to gather much comfort for the road, men who carry questions they do not speak aloud. Behind them lies Jerusalem. Before them, uncertainty. Around them, the long muted land of evening. Imagine yourself among them. You have walked all day. Your legs ache with that dull tiredness that is no longer dramatic because it has become constant. Dust clings to the hems of garments. Your throat is dry. Hunger has stopped feeling sharp and settled into a quieter emptiness. The strap across your shoulder has rubbed a sore place into the skin. Your cloak smells of wool, sweat, smoke from the last camp, and the wind that has followed the road. The city behind you feels both near and impossibly far. You still remember the sound of its gates, the stone streets, the rising walls, the familiar turns of certain roads. And yet now, all of that is behind you, swallowed by distance and evening and the strange disbelief that life can change so quickly. Some men speak in low voices, others keep silence, You hear the scrape of sandals over grit, the shift of leather straps, the soft complaint of animals, the muted clink of carried things, the rustle of garments in wind, a cough, a short prayer, the sound of fatigue in human movement. The king walks not far away. His pace is steady. Though tired, he is not performing strength for the comfort of those around him. He is simply continuing. There is something deeply moving in that. Not triumph, not theater, endurance. A man carrying sorrow without allowing sorrow to become the final truth. At last, the company pauses on a rise where the wind is less sharp. Some men sit heavily on stones. Some remain standing for a moment as though uncertain whether their legs will lower them gently or all at once. Some bow their heads. The sky above darkens into deeper blue. A narrow band of gold still holds along the far western edge. One star appears. Then movement comes along the road. At first it is only silhouettes. Then shapes become clearer. Animals carrying supplies. Men approaching with purpose. Hands full not of weapons, but of provision, bread, fruit. Raisins dark with sweetness, water. What had been emptiness on the road becomes help arriving in plain form. There is no dazzling miracle in the sky, no sudden blaze of spectacle, only the deeply human holiness of needed things arriving at the hour of weariness. Bread is passed from hand to hand, fruit is divided, water is poured. You receive a piece of bread and turn it over once in your hand before eating. It is rough and simple, and better than a feast because of how hunger has prepared the body to receive it. You tear off a bite, grain, salt, life. Nearby a man lowers his face and closes his eyes before he eats. Another gives a breath that sounds almost like laughter, though what it really is relief finally finding a way out of the chest. The camp becomes slightly more alive, not noisy, just less burdened. People shift closer to one another. A few words rise, thanks are murmured. Someone lifts a water skin and passes it on. Someone else steadies a tired animal. The king looks over the company, and though he says little, the whole hillside seems altered by the arrival of enough. Not enough to remove the road, not enough to answer every fear, but enough for this evening, enough for tired bodies, enough to tell hungry souls they have not been forgotten. As darkness deepens, a song begins. Not from polished musicians before a court, not from a stage, from a weary voice in evening air, a voice worn by grief and years and prayer, a voice that knows sorrow and yet still sings. The words move through the company like warmth moving through cold hands. A shield, a lifted head, a cry answered, sleep given, morning reached, fear faced and not allowed to rule. Some join the song quietly. Some only listen, but almost all lean toward it in some way, even if inwardly. The stars brighten above the road. The firelight, once lit, begins to flicker against stones and cloaks and bowls and tired faces. The smell of smoke rises into the night. Simple food is eaten slowly. The men are still exiles, still uncertain, still on the run. And yet mercy has entered the camp. That changes everything without changing everything. Later, wrapped in a cloak beneath the open sky, you lie down on the ground. The earth is hard, but after such a day, hardness can still feel like relief if it is stable enough to carry you. Your body no longer asks for luxury. It asks only for rest. Above you, the stars are clear and countless. A fire has burned low to embers. Someone nearby coughs once and turns over. An animal shifts. A guard keeps watch in silhouette. The wind has gentled. And then, unexpectedly perhaps, sleep comes. Not perfect sleep, not carefree sleep, but honest sleep. Deep enough that the body lets go. Deep enough that the mind crosses the dark. Deep enough that when morning comes pale over the hills, You are surprised to find that you have rested at all. The dawn is cool. Cloaks are shaken free of dust. Waterskins are lifted. Sandals are tied, bread, what remains of it, is shared. The road waits again. You rise to meet it. So does David. Days pass like this. The company moves through changing land, over ridges, through sparse woods, past dry gullies, across places where the wind carries the scent of time and earth. Sometimes they descend toward water. Sometimes they climb again. Sometimes the path is wide enough for several men abreast. Sometimes it narrows so sharply that they must go one by one. Some evenings the sky is clear. Some evenings thin clouds catch the sunset and deepen the loneliness of the road by making the world too beautiful for sorrow. At times fatigue returns as if it never left. At times fear rises again. What will happen to the kingdom? What will happen to the king? What will become of homes, of promises, of names spoken in the city left behind? Yet small mercies continue to appear. A patch of shade in the heat of noon. A spring where no spring was expected. Dates pressed into the hand. A cool stone to sit on while the feet recover. A familiar voice humming part of the evening song. The sight of David still walking, still praying, still not wholly broken. Sometimes this is how grace works on a long road, not by removing the road, by placing enough mercy along it that despair cannot own every mile. One evening, near a place of shelter among allies, greater provision comes. Animals arrive loaded with grain, meal, lentils, beans, cheese, honey, bedding, vessels, practical things, homely things, the sort of things weary people suddenly realize are almost holy because of how directly they answer human need. Beds to lie on, bowls to eat from, food that must be cooked, food ready at once, honey bright in the mouth, cheese rich on the tongue. Rain that promises a full stomach by nightfall. The camp changes at the sight of it. Shoulders lift, eyes brighten, voices become easier, fires are built. Hands move with renewed purpose. Someone laughs openly now. Someone else begins to sing before the meal is even ready. The smell of cooking rises into evening. Smoke curls upward. The stars come out one by one above a camp that has been visited by enough. Again the king's song moves among the people. A shield around me, the lifter of my head. I lie down and sleep. I wake again. Sustained, the words are no longer abstract to you. You have tasted them in dust and hunger and bread and dawn and the strange mercy of sleep on troubled ground. The road is long, and still it is possible to be carried one quiet step at a time. Remember that. Remember the texture of the bread. Remember the coolness of evening after heat. Remember the sound of song under stars. Remember the firelight on tired faces. Remember the way fear weakened a little when enough arrived. Remember the king still walking. Remember the night still giving sleep. Remember that exile did not become the end of the story, simply because it felt long. The camp settles, the bowls are set down, the voices thin out. Children, if there are any, sleep first, then the weary men. Then, even the watchful ones grow quieter in spirit, though some remain awake at their posts. The hills stand dark around them, the stars remain overhead. And mercy, which had entered in bread and water and honey and song, now enters again in rest. Even in exile, the soul can discover that it has not been abandoned. Even on a hard road, the heart can learn again that help may arrive. Even under uncertain skies, a human being may lie down and sleep and wake again because he has been sustained. And after every road, every camp, every evening song, every tired mile, the heart longs for one thing more than any answer. Shelter, nearness, rest, so let the road begin to fade now. Let the hills recede into distance. Let the campfires dim to embers in the imagination. Let the dust settle. Let the king and his company pass gently out of view. You do not need to keep walking with them tonight. You may return now. Return to this room. Return to this bed. Return to the blanket over your body. Return to the pillow beneath your head. Return to the quiet rhythm of your breathing. Feel again the support under you. Feel again the stillness around you. The journey may remain in memory, but your body is here now, being carried by this bed and by the quiet of the hour. You do not have to travel farther tonight. You do not have to endure farther tonight. You do not have to think farther tonight. You may come home to stillness. There is a soft mercy in returning to breath, returning to safety, returning to simple truths, returning to the fact that this hour asks less of you than the day did. Returning to the knowledge that what held weary travelers and mourning hearts and dusty exiles through long centuries can also hold you here in the dark. Provision was not only for them, nearness was not only for them, shelter was not only for them, rest was not only for them. The same peace that visited a hillside, a road, a camp beneath the stars, may visit an ordinary room in the middle of the night, may visit a tired person beneath a blanket, may visit you, so breathe once more, slowly, easily. Let the air move in and out with no urgency. Let your chest rise and fall like gentle water. Let your shoulders stay low. Let the jaw remain loose. Let the hands stay open. If regret returns, meet it with gentleness. If grief returns, meet it with gentleness. If fear returns, meet it with gentleness. Nothing fierce is needed now. Nothing sharp, nothing loud. Let gentleness do the work that force never could. Let it rest over your thoughts like mist over a quiet field. Let it move through the chest like warmth through cold fingers. Let it settle over the mind like dusk settling over stone walls and olive trees. You do not need to manufacture peace. You only need to stop arguing with the quieter forms in which it comes. Perhaps peace comes tonight as heaviness in the limbs, perhaps as warmth in the blanket, perhaps as a little less tension in the forehead, perhaps as thoughts growing farther apart, perhaps as the realization that no one is asking you to solve your life before dawn, perhaps as the simple sentence, "I can rest now." If your mind wanders, bring it back gently. I am here, I am held, I can rest. Again, I am here, I am held, I can rest. There is no shame in returning to the same comfort again and again. That is often how comfort works. It comes, it is received, it drifts, it returns, and with each return, the heart becomes more willing to believe that peace is not as fragile as fear claimed it was. So let your inner world become smaller now, but smaller in a good and holy way. Smaller like a lamplit room, smaller like a nest tucked into branches, smaller like a circle of firelight in a dark field, smaller like a blanket pulled up in the night. The world may remain large beyond you. Your rest may remain small and sufficient within you. That is enough. The room is quiet. Your body is heavier. Your thoughts are slower. Your breathing is softer. Nothing is demanding your strength. Nothing is asking for your brightest mind. The night no longer expects effort from you. And because the night no longer asks anything from you, you may simply drift. There is nothing left to hold together tonight. Nothing left to guard so tightly. Nothing left that belongs to this hour except quiet, softness, and the slow permission to sleep. Let the mind loosen its fingers. Let the heart set down its last bundle. Let the body go deeper into the stillness already waiting for it. If words begin to feel farther away now, let them go farther. If thoughts begin to blur at the edges, let them blur. If sleep comes in small waves, instead of one great descent, let it come in waves. Everything gentle is welcome here. May your room be peaceful. May your pillow feel kind beneath your head. May your blanket feel like a shelter and not a weight. May your breathing become easy and unguarded. May your shoulders forget their labor. May your jaw release its watchfulness. May your hands rest open. May your chest rise and fall without hurry. May the places in you that have remained alert too long finally understand that they are allowed to sleep. May the night be mild to you. May it not press against the bruised places. May it cool what has been overworked. May it soften what has been clenched. May it quiet what has been overstimulated. May it cover you gently, as starlight covers a field, as shade covers a hillside, as a cloak covers tired shoulders on a cold road after dusk. Well, and if there are still thoughts circling high above you, let them circle wider and wider until they become like distant birds in a dark sky, too far to trouble you, too far to call you back into wakefulness. You do not need to answer them. You do not need to complete the conversation with the day. The day has had its turn. This hour belongs to rest. Think of the sky before dawn. Think of the first pale rose on the horizon. Think of olive leaves turning silver in the morning breeze. Think of a lamp beside a worn chair. Think of a book opened in warm light. Think of bread in tired hands. Think of a quiet hillside where blessing came to the tender. Think of firelight lowering in a camp of weary travelers. Think of the stars above them. Think of the song that moved through the dark like shelter. Think of a bed beneath you now. Think of the blessing of heaviness in your limbs. Think of the sweetness of no longer needing to do anything at all. Rest now, rest deeper, rest without explanation, rest without proving, rest without rehearsing tomorrow, rest without patrolling the doorways of the mind. Let those doorways close, let the lamps go low, let the room of the soul become quiet and warm and dim. You are not alone in the dark. You are accompanied by a peace older than your fears. You are accompanied by a kindness gentler than your efforts. You are accompanied by a faithful presence that does not grow impatient when sleep comes slowly. So if sleep comes now, let it come, and if it comes gradually, let it come gradually. If you drift, drift. If you sink, sink. If your thoughts loosen and fade into dream, let them go gladly. Nothing important is being neglected by your surrender. Nothing holy is lost when you sleep. In this hour, rest itself is an act of trust. So trust the bed, trust the quiet, trust the quiet, trust the slowness, trust the dark enough to let your body grow heavy inside it. May your dreams be gentle. May your mind be untroubled. May your sleep be deep enough to restore what the day has worn thin. May your spirit pass through these dark hours softly, as a boat passes through still water, as clouds pass over a sleeping hill, as moonlight moves across a floor and is gone without sound. And when morning comes, whether it reaches you in pale silver or warm gold, whether you wake early or later, whether you remember your dreams or only the feeling of having been carried, may you rise a little more restored, a little more whole, a little less burdened, a little more able to breathe without so much inward effort. But for now, even morning is far away. There is only this soft dark, only this quiet room, only your breathing, only the bed beneath you, only the blessing of no longer needing to continue the day, only rest, and soon even these words do not need to follow you farther. They may remain behind like footsteps fading on an old road, like embers sinking lower in ash, like a lamp being turned down one final degree, until there is almost nothing left. Only this: you are safe, you are held, you may sleep, you may sleep, you may sleep.